Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith and I'm your host, as always, the host with the most. This is one I haven't done in a while. It's Walking the Fairways. It's the news segment of the podcast where I bring to you what's going on around the country, and also there's been a big announcement around the world in the world of golf. I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and opinions and views on that one as well. I'm sure you all know about the merger with Live Golf, the PGA Tour, and the DP World European Tour. So I'll be talking about that one as well. This is episode number 81. Holy shit, what a mic drop that was yesterday. Unbelievable. I can put plenty of four-letter words in there that will struggle to describe just how big yesterday's events were in the world of golf. And I say the world of golf because it is a big deal. It is a big deal. So this is a Walking the Fairways segment, guys. It's the news story where I normally travel around the country and tell you what's going on around clubs and courses and what's happening on the landscape in Australian golf. And I will be doing that. But first, I want to address and let you in on the detail of the announcement to do with the whole Live PGA Tour European Tour scenario that was announced with all this merger talk and public investment funds and Saudi monies and all this sort of stuff. So I'm going to start off with this is Walking the Fairway. So we're talking about the landscape of golf, but I do want to go into this. So what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to start off with letting you know, and basically I'm going to read to you the press release that was, the letter to the members for the PGA Tour from Jay Monahan, so that you've got an idea. I'm not going to speculate at all. We'll deal with a lot of facts, and then I'll give you my opinion, and I'll make that quite clear cut so that there's no confusion. But let's go. Basically what it says is this. Today is a momentous day for the organisation and the game of golf as a whole. The PGA Tour, your tour, is leading the formation of a new commercial entity to unify golf, one that sees the end of the disruption and distraction that has divided the men's professional game for the better part of 3 years. Through a framework agreement, the Public Investment Fund, the PIF, is contributing its golf-related commercial businesses and rights, including Live Golf, along with a significant financial investment toward minority equity ownership of a new collectively held for-profit LLC. I'm not sure what the LLC means. This new entity, which they haven't given a name to yet, will also include the PGA Tour's commercial businesses and rights, as well as those of the DP World Tour, which, as we know, is the European Tour. PGA Tour Incorporated will remain in place as a non-for-profit tax-exempt organisation, blah, 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 as it retains administrative rights over the PGA Tour, including the sanctioning of events, the administration of the completion and rules, as well as all other inside-the-ropes responsibilities. I remain as Commissioner of the PGA Tour and Ed Hurley and as PGA Tour Policy Board Chairman. Public Investment Fund's Governor, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, will join the PGA Tour Policy Board. Now he's the guy with the cash. He's the cash behind Live. Upon execution of a definitive agreement, upon execution of a definitive agreement, the Board of Directors, which will oversee and direct all the new entities' golf-related commercial operations, business and investments, will include Al-Rumayyan as chairman. So this is basically the new, which will be a bit of the new structure. Al-Rumayyan as chairman and Jay Monahan and me as chief executive officer. The two of us will also be a part of the new entity's executive committee, along with Ed Hurley and PGA Tour Policy Board member Jimmy Dunn. The PGA Tour will appoint a majority of the board and hold a majority voting interest in the combined entity. So I want you to remember that line. The PGA Tour will appoint a majority of the board and hold a majority voting interest in the combined entity. So that's the new business that overarching over the top of everything else. I'll continue. There are many details to work through as we develop a definitive agreement, which will ultimately require PGA Tour Policy Board approval, and I know you have many questions. Some additional items to note in the meantime. Notably, today's announcement brings about an end to all pending litigation between the participating entities and prohibits any further recruitment of PGA Tour, DP World Tour or LIV Golf members. We will conduct a comprehensive evaluation of LIV Golf and determine how best to integrate team golf into the professional game. The 2023 LIV Golf schedule will continue as planned. We will work cooperatively to establish a fair and objective process for any players who desire to reapply for membership with the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour following the completion of the 2023 season, consistent with each tour's policies. This is a complicated endeavour and one that will be guided by established PGA Tour rules and regulations. In addition to the financial investment in the new entity for an equity stake, the Public Investment Fund will make a financial investment to become a premier corporate sponsor of the PGA Tour and DP World Tour and other international tours, in brackets. The Public Investment Fund will make an additional investment in the new entity that will allow us to build an even stronger and more robust commercial business together. The Public Investment Fund is committed to significant financial support toward causes that positively impact the game on a global basis. So this is all in lieu of an equity stake. This is what they give. This is what the Public Investment Fund are giving. I continue on the final couple of paragraphs. There is much work to do to get us from a framework agreement to a definitive agreement, but one thing is obvious. Through this transformational agreement and with Public Investment Fund's collaborative investment, the immeasurable strength of the PGA Tour's history, legacy and pro-competitive model not only remains intact but is supercharged for the future. Our game, our players and our fans will no doubt benefit for years to come. I will be on site at the RBC Canadian Open later today. Blah, blah. This was prior to the 4 p.m. meeting that you probably already heard about. So that gives you an idea of what they've agreed to. So they're building a new business entity that will sort of oversee the PGA Tour, the European Tour being the DP World, and the LIV Tour, LIV League. Now, there's a lot in that to digest, and one of the notes that I've since seen afterwards, I believe, was correct information, was that the Public Investment Fund, which is the Yasser Al-Rumayyan, will have exclusive rights as an investor. Exclusive rights as an investor in the early stages of this. That says a lot as well. So I want you to remember those couple of lines about exclusivity and about what they get in return, because I'm gonna highlight a few things, and that majority voting rights that the PGA Tour will have, because a lot of PGA Pro supporters are keeping that one up their sleeve and saying that they've got the majority voting. So basically, the PGA Tour runs everything in this new arrangement. So I want to go through some of that. It's so deep, but what I want to try and do is keep it as simple as possible. And I say that loosely, of course, because it is very, very complicated. But I want to try and keep it as simple as possible. I'm going to start off with some of the things that Rory's come out and said just yesterday as his media conference in at the Canadian Open, where he came out and mentioned a few things. And one of the things that Rory has mentioned is how much he hates LIV. He's made that quite clear for a long time and reiterated that just yesterday, I think it was, or today, that he hates LIV. And he can't wait for LIV to disappear. As he puts it, LIV will go. Well, I think Rory's completely wrong. Even though it says in that memo to the PGA Tour members that I just read to you, that it says that they will be reevaluating LIV Golf and team and how team golf will be incorporated in golf in the future. I think LIV is not going anywhere. I think LIV is here to stay. It may be termed a different name. It might have a name change, a brand change. I think the essence of LIV is still here to stay. And I think the people who have signed up for at least 3 years, I think that what we have now, that what we've seen so far this year, is here to stay. Who would have thought that this was going to happen so quickly? I mean, they're not even a full year into the first proper go at LIV, and all this is just absolutely, completely catastrophized in one big blow, complete catastrophic kaboom. So Rory, I think, is wrong. I think he's missed the mark. I think he wishes it's going to go away, but it's not going anywhere, in my opinion. So I'm going to give you my opinion now on what is being broken down on a lot of this stuff. So that's the facts, what I just read out. And the rest of this is going to be my breakdown on what I think and how I think things are going to unfold. There's a few analogies to try and help you along the way. So I don't think LIV's going anywhere. I think it's here to stay, and I think we're going to continue to see it. I think next year we're going to see it go around again. I think it works well, and I think that really, after Adelaide, I think it really put the rocket up the PGA Tour to go, holy shit, this thing has actual legs outside America. And I think that says a lot about their product and about their potential sponsors in the future and television rights in the future. And I think that's where a lot of this has come from, in my opinion. So a brief analogy of what I want to give you an idea of where this is all working. A lot of people are saying, a lot of the players and a lot of the commentary are saying that the PGA Tour now run LIV because they have control in the boardroom, or they will have control in the boardroom. The PGA Tour, Jay Monahan as CEO, he's going to have control. He's going to be able to dictate what goes on where. I think we've got to remember that there's still going to be 3 tours. There's still going to be the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and the LIV League, unless it changes names, and I think it probably will go through a rebrand in time. But we have 3 tours that are going to come under. Their commercial landscape is going to come underneath this new entity that they're all sitting in and having a controlling interest in. And that Yasser Al-Rumayyan has, as chairman, he will be on that new board entity that's going to have the people as mentioned. I think... this is the way I see it, right? And this is the way I think this has worked. And I think it's done it because it's scared the living bejesus out of the PGA Tour. We know that the PGA Tour bought into the DP World Tour, so they have they're a bit of a tag-along, if you like, for the PGA Tour. But I think, see if you can follow me on this one. This is more for the Australian market, but it does go overall in a lot of businesses. At the end of the day, this is business, guys and girls. This is a business decision. These are business decisions. This is all about money, and this is all about making lots of money. Make no mistake, that's what this is all about, and nothing more and nothing less. Because when you boil it all down, these decisions were made based around dollars. That's all it comes down to. And it's the dollars at the top of the tree and the dollars that make these products and these spectacles and entertainment machines continue to move forward. So what I'm going to give you an analogy of is Coles and Woolworths. Pretty straightforward, right? 2 of the biggest supermarket chains in Australia. Now, Coles is owned by Bunnings Wesfarmers, or Wesfarmers is the business name, the company name, and Wesfarmers own the Bunnings brand, and they also own Coles. Some people may know that, some people might not know that. So Wesfarmers bought Coles a number of years ago now. I know that because I was a shareholder of Coles for a period of time, and when the buyout was there, I took it. So Wesfarmers, who own Bunnings, the biggest hardware chain in Australia, own Coles supermarkets. And Woolworths, as a brand and a company, is out there on the opposition side of Coles, the 2 competing supermarket chains. Now, if you're a staunch Woolworths person and you don't shop at Coles, you shop only at Woolworths, and there's plenty of people that are like this. It's like the old Holden and Ford days. If you're a staunch Woolworths person and you don't shop at Coles, you shop at Woolworths, and you know that, and that's your thing. Now, if tomorrow Wesfarmers, who own Coles, decided that they felt like owning Woolworths, and they put a bid forward to buy Woolworths, and that bid was accepted by Woolworths, and they sold to Woolworths, it's highly likely that Wesfarmers would continue to run Coles over here as a supermarket brand and Woolworths over there as a continued supermarket brand, keeping the name, keeping the brand, keeping everything the same. But what they bought was the making of the money, the shitload of cash that those businesses turn over and make as a profit. That's what Wesfarmers in the background, who own Coles, would have wanted to buy. There is no benefit to pushing the opposition to the wall and shutting them down when you can buy them out and make more money. Now, in the interest, I'm going to convert this to golf. In the interest of what we're talking about in the world of golf, in my opinion, this is how I see this all going down, is you've got Live Golf, which is being funded by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. Yasser Al Rumayyan starts up a whole new golf tour, more of a worldly golf tour with teams, slightly different variation of what we see tournament golf. He bleeds dry a shitload of the top talent from the PGA Tour with using a shitload of money. They come over, they start playing in this new tour. It works well, it's a big machine, and it's going good for its very, very first time around, right? He wants a seat at the table. Yasser Al Rumayyan wants a seat at the table of the biggest power in golf. Now, the only way to do that is he could probably buy the PGA Tour 10 times over, but they're not going to say yes. They've got no reason to say yes because they're making too much money. They don't need a buyout. They can continue to make more money and have a good life. So when you start a competitive tour, even though it's complimentary in my opinion, the PGA Tour see it as competitive. That's fair enough. They've now bled half of their talent. May not be half, but a lot of their key talent is now gone from the PGA Tour. Now, with that goes eyeballs. And with eyeballs, sponsors and people paying money to be naming rights of events on the PGA Tour start to wonder what they're paying for. All of a sudden, they paid and signed contracts for 5 years and 10 years and so on, and the players that were there aren't there anymore. Why do you think Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour fought so hard to keep them? It's because they don't want to lose the money from the sponsors that they're getting. They don't want to lose the money from the next round of television rights deals that they're going to sign up. Because without the Brookses, the Brysons, the DJs, the Bubbas, the Cam Smiths of the world playing on your tour, when you go to re-sign and renegotiate television deals, you have a smaller product. You don't have the biggest names anymore, all of them on your tour. So you have lesser value. Everything starts to change. This is the landscape. So Liv's over there, being run by Yasser Al Rumayyan, being funded by, run by Greg Norman. Big face in the world of golf. I'm going to stick it up the PGA Tour and I'm going to pedal this thing and get something out of it at the back end. I've got no doubts the end game for all this was to make sure that if they couldn't get the franchises sold fast enough, early enough, whenever that time frame they gave themselves to do so, for the teams, that they were going to work on the merger. Somewhere along the lines, this was the end game as well. There's a couple of get-out points. This was one of them. So you bleed dry the product of the PGA Tour. They start hemorrhaging money and they're thinking about the future and what they're not going to get by way of dollars from potential sponsors and TV deals. Right? We've got a legal case going on in the background with everyone suing everyone for the sake of suing. That's going to hurt people once information comes to the public. Both parties don't tell the public anything. Bear that in mind. Both parties don't tell the public anything or a great deal of anything. So that's in the background ticking away. It's a little bit of a ticking time bomb. Each layer that gets peeled off and presented to court gets shown to everyone. No one likes having their pants pulled down. No one, especially big business. So there's a lot of things happening all at the same time. Now, if you want a seat at the table in the world golf, you start up a league, you bleed someone else dry, you start to push them to the wall, and when people start being pushed into walls and corners, they start to fight. They want to throw things. They want to throw punches. They're throwing haymakers, Hail Marys. And then at the end of the day, when you get to a certain point, there's always a price. Now, like I said, Yasser Al Rumayyan and the Saudi Investment Fund could buy the PGA Tour 10 times, and probably 1,000 times over if I'm being honest. But it would have always been no. Now, they pushed them hard enough, bled them dry for enough, all of a sudden, they want to sit down and have a conversation. How do we stop this? Because there's only one party that's going to run out of money, and that is definitely not a country and a very, very rich royal family. That ain't happening. So they sit down in the background, a very, very small group of people sit down to have a discussion over the last probably couple of months, is what they're saying. Greg Norman wasn't part of that, we're now hearing. And I think that's fair. I think that's probably not really a surprise, if I'm being honest. And the conversations that come to light now are that they're going to work together. They're going to form a new business, and it's a for-profit business that is where Yasser Al-Rumayyan and his dollars are going to be involved. So he's going to help get up a new business that combines the commercial entities of all the tours, because at the end of the day, he's all about making more money in world sport. He's in all sorts of sports across the planet. And if you're not sure, just Google it and you'll find out. Anything from Formula One to soccer and football to, whatever. He's in so many things. Obviously, he's the chairman of Aramco as well, and they sponsor women's golf and men's golf and all sorts of things. So he's across a lot of things. He's clearly a golf fan, and he wants to own golf. This is a play for them, whether we like it or not. So when you do a deal in the background, you got LIV, PGA Tour, DP World Tour. They're going to form a new business over the top of all this that controls the profit sides of the money-making machines. It's just like Wesfarmers, as I talked about before, that would own Coles and Woolworths potentially. But no one really knows unless you look into it. It's still Coles and Woolworths. It's still going to be PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and LIV Golf League. It's just owned by the same people because they're three different types of products, essentially. So why would you get rid of the competition when you can absorb it to earn more money? And we know how big the PGA Tour is as a money-making machine. So spin that off, save face and keep the PGA and its legacy, but let's just get the buy-in so that they can make more money. Al-Rumayyan's sitting there going, I want to make that money. I want a share of that money-making machine over there. So we'll sit down at the table, we'll work it out. How can I get a share of that money-making machine? Now, bear in mind, and you may or may not know this, that the Public Investment Fund has a majority stake, I believe, or the highest share stake in the PGA Tour fan shop. You may or may not know that. They've already got in the merch for the PGA Tour, the Public Investment Fund, but they want more. They want more. They already have a share in FedEx. FedEx is the major sponsor of all the big dollars and things in the PGA Tour, but he wants more. They want more control. They want more ownership. They want to make more money. And that, at the end of the day, is what this is all about. More money. So the LIV Golf League, the franchise model, all that sort of stuff, as a startup, all startups lose cash hand over fist like nothing else. Just go and Google Uber and you'll see just what that means. Go and have a look at Tesla and you'll see just what that means, or SpaceX. They all lose money on a monumental scale to begin with until they start to turn profit. And it does take years. So that's where this has all come about from. And the way that the rough structure is, I'm just trying to keep it simple for you to follow, is that there's going to be this body over the top, and it's going to have Jay Monahan, it's going to have Jay Monahan, Ed Hurley, and James Dunn, I think it was, that I mentioned before. They're the people that are going to be involved. So you see, and Yasser Al-Rumayyan. Now, the PGA Tour, as I read out to you before, is going to have a controlling vote, a majority voting interest on the board. They have a majority vote on the board with a majority of seats at the table. So a lot of people are saying that are pro-PGA fans that the PGA are going to control LIV. The PGA are going to control everything because Jay is the CEO and there's going to be a majority vote on things. Now, let me simplify this for you guys. Money talks. Money talks more than anyone can vote. And that means doesn't matter how many votes you have, money talks. And I'll give you a little bit of an insight, my own personal insight. Now, I've worked for and been at a boardroom where there is a controlling interest and controlling votes from someone who doesn't have money, and a very small portion of votes from those who have money. And it was a table of 7, 5-2. 5 votes for those that didn't have money and 2 votes for those that had money. Now, I've been there. Have you guessed what happens? The 2 votes always win. And you know why they always win? Because the 2 votes have the money. So when they start saying what they're going to do and what they would like to do and what they want to see happen, have a guess what happens with the other 5 votes in the table of 7. The other 5 vote with the other 2 and it becomes unanimous. And the reason that it happens that way is because they have the money. Now, there's negotiations and things that go on, a little bit of give and take and all that stuff, but ultimately the direction that people want to go in the boardroom is from those that have the money. So when they say the PGA Tour have a majority vote and will hold control and they'll be able to wield the power in the boardroom because they've got the majority of the seats at the table, and Yasser Al-Rumayyan is just one of them. He's the chairman. He's only got 1 vote. Let me tell you, when Yasser Al-Rumayyan sits on that table and he says that he wants to go in this direction, and the other voting members say, we want to go in that direction, when it comes to the money that's doing the talking on the 1 seat, have a guess where the other people will then go with the money. Because when they want to do something else that doesn't use his money, they can't do it. Now, I'm simplifying this dramatically, but the short version is money talks. So he wants a seat at the table, and he has all the money. Doesn't matter if there's 100 other people in that room that want to do 100 other things. That's the negotiation. But ultimately, wherever Yasser Al-Rumayyan wants to go is where things will go. And I still firmly believe that LIV will stay around. And I think because the Public Investment Fund, headed by Yasser Al-Rumayyan, can see how much of a money-making machine it has the potential to be. Those franchise models will turn over a shitload of money, more than most people can understand. There are very, very wealthy people out there in the world who will buy a team on the world golf stage with some of the biggest names in it. I have absolutely no doubts that there will be people out there that will happily spend $1 billion on a team or companies and brands. And you've only got to go to the cricket world in India. There are plenty of very, very rich people in India with too much money that spent too much money on IPL teams. And LIV Golf is no different. And if anyone thinks that LIV Golf will be shut down and will disappear, least of all Rory McIlroy over there in his snotty little corner, if anyone thinks that LIV Golf League is going to disappear, they're kidding themselves. I think that we're going to see the opposite. What we're going to see is integration of how LIV, or that team concept, will work even better than it does now. PGA Tour can stick to this side and they'll still have all their tournaments and they'll still have their things and there'll probably be some small changes. But ultimately, we're not relying on all these companies to donate $20 million here and there when they struggling. All these designated events and more money being donated and given by companies. Yasser Al-Rumayyan's got no problem funding it all. In fact, he is the exclusive investor to the beginning of this. So no one else will be putting money in to this overarching governing body across these 3 tours except the Public Investment Fund. And you know what that does? That literally buys ownership and power and control, whether you like it or not. I don't care how many other people you think will have sway in a boardroom in their chairs when you've got a few $100 billion on the other side of the table in one seat. That's where the decisions will go. That's how it's going to happen. And everything else is just to keep everyone happy, to keep the fans happy, to keep other people happy, it's just to keep people happy. It's all about making money. And at the end of the day, whatever is the best way to make the most amount of money is what the decisions will come down to. And if it means that the Brookses and Brysons and DJs of the world are going to travel to Australia as part of their 3-year sign-on that they've got, or 2-year sign-on, or 5-year sign-on, whatever they've got, that's what's going to happen with Live Golf. Live Golf is here to stay. The only difference is that now Yasser Al-Rumayyan has a voice in the control of people moving between tours to make sure that he can make the most amount of money at every possible avenue. So you won't have a depleted Ryder Cup anymore. There won't be issues about the President's Cup. Oh, hang on, the President's Cup might be something bigger now. You won't have any concerns with people banning people and diminishing the product or reducing the quality of the field. In actual fact, what you're going to find is that everything's going to work so much better, and they will be able to now ask for more money than they ever could from television rights deals. This is going to hit a global scale like golf hasn't been able to do before. This is a very, very big deal, and there's no more bickering. And if people want to think that it's going to come down to, PGA Tour crushing Live out and snuffing them out so that they don't exist anymore, and the players who stayed loyal to the PGA Tour, they need to be compensated they need to be paid out for what they turned down, whereas the others left and took the cash, and they should be penalised if they want to come back in to the PGA Tour. That is all bullshit. That is all bullshit. It's going to look like those that stayed loyal to the PGA Tour will get a pay rise, or they'll be able to play for more money, or whatever you want to call it. They're going to save face and make people feel better, but they're not getting paid. It's because there's going to be more money to go around. It's going to be done differently. And at the end of the day, Jay did this to line his pockets more than anyone. He's not stupid. These are all money-based decisions, guys and girls. That's what this is all about. Remember, it is all about the money. And there has never been a bigger opportunity for world golf and for the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour to make more money than right now. All it did was secure Jay Monahan's future in existence till the day he dies. So here's the alternative that would have happened, right? Had it not gone to a negotiation and Jay not been smart enough to open his mind to sit down at a table and have a conversation, Liv would have won out. PGA Tour would have lost all their money. And what would have happened is that there would have been no pension for the past players of the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods fought so hard for, Rory's fighting hard to keep his. All the past players that get money from the what they get after retirement, they continue to earn cash as part of the PGA Tour. That would have disappeared, right? Jay Monahan would have lost his job, right? Everyone would have lost out on the PGA Tour. And the only people who would have won were those that left the tour and went to Live Golf. But business world doesn't work that way. No one's that stupid. So what Jay actually did, as stupid as it might look and appear and hypocritical, he decided to jump in bed with so that he could line his pockets, so that all the past players in the history of the PGA Tour that are still alive will continue to get a pension, so that all the players who are currently on the PGA Tour that are going to retire soon will get a pension, and those that are coming in to play on the PGA Tour and that will then fade away will continue to get a pension. That's what's going to happen. So what Jay did, lined his pockets, and continued to make sure that everyone else on the PGA Tour continues to get paid and will do for the future, and it will stick around and it will be stronger and they'll have more money. But at the same time, old Yasser, sitting at the top of the tree, is lining his pockets as well. Everyone has a take. This is big business. These are big decisions. This is not backyard tiddlywinks. It has to do with money. And that's all this has got to do with. So the politics and all the crap that goes on and all the bickering that Rory's going to come out with and still take his stance, and he still hates people that went to live and all that crap. Live people don't care. They're just happy to. They just want to go out and play golf. They've got too much money now. But everyone else is still fighting for cash. So there's going to be some changes. There's going to be some things. You're going to see saving a face and all sorts of stuff. Jay's going to be CEO, and whether he'll hold the tenure for long, who knows? But he's lined his pocket. Norman. Now there's a name that has changed the world of golf as we know it. The biggest royal up yours to the PGA Tour anyone could possibly have fathomed, and he actually made it stick. He's done with. He's expendable. But Norman is no fool. Anything Norman does, he does to line his pockets. When this deal come through, I have no doubts that Greg Norman had a clause that if everything goes very, very well and there's some sort of merger or agreement or peace deal or whatever, and he gets a mega payout. He probably has a trailing income off this too. And he will say bye-bye. They don't need him anymore. He did his job. He was the marketing face of Live Golf and changing world golf. We won't see him anymore. But his name will forever be part of history. And I think Norman's a bit like that. I don't know him. But he's very much about legacy. Very, very much about legacy. So that's how you're going to see Norman finish off. And let's not forget that you're not hearing anyone mention blood money, human rights atrocities. We know they're all still there. People have always talked about them. And now that that the major tour, the PGA Tour, is being funded by the money that they were calling out as blood money, the money that they called out as money connected with those that committed the crimes on 9/11, all the human rights abuses and that have gone on in the past. That's bigger than me. I've not looked into a lot of that stuff, but a lot of people were commentating about it and calling it out. Now that the PGA Tour is being funded by that same money, the same pool of cash, coming from the very same people that have been funding Live, all of a sudden, in 24 to 48 hours, they've got their heads around it. They're at peace with where the money comes from. I keep going back. This is all about money. It's all about money. The fact that they've got their heads around it because the money is in their pocket now. That's why they've got their heads around it, guys. It's not rocket science. People are trying to make this so complicated and so much more convoluted. Get it down to the simplicity of it all. It is about the money. Now the money is in their pockets. They're okay with it. When it was not in their pockets and in someone else's pockets, they weren't okay with it. It is that simple. You're not hearing people bang on about Mohammed bin Salman, I think is his name, MBS, as I was calling him out, the man behind the 9/11 and all this sort of stuff. There's none of that commentary anymore. It's all it's Yasser. Oh, Yasser, hopefully he comes out with some good things. Al Ramian, hopefully he comes out with some good stuff going on. He's going to be able to the money's going to go to good things now. It's just outrageous the way that the turncoats, the commentary, and the commentators are just being turncoats, and all of a sudden everything is okay because now the money's in their pockets. I'm telling you, it really is. Don't forget what people have been saying about Liv. And I'm telling you, like I said, I'll keep reiterating, it's all about the money. You know, there's a lot to unpack there. I've tried to keep it simple. I've tried to keep it simple as much as I can. All of this is profit. It's all about making money. Teams are going to stay, in my opinion. Liv's going to kick around for longer. And then you're going to hear all the waffle from everyone else. So I just wanted to give you my 2 cents worth, guys and girls. I think there's plenty more to come out of this. There's going to be a lot of fallout from this. And then ultimately, the dust will settle. The big new machine will fire up. Everyone will forget about the mess. It will be there in history to look back on and discuss. But everyone will forget about it, and then we're going to go back to enjoying golf and enjoying new golf as well. Lots to come, lots happening. There's more learned people out there that know a lot more, but that's my take on it, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you can understand sort of where I'm coming from and what I think, and I'll be curious to know if you agree with me or disagree with me. Podcast is great for conversation, so drop me a line, send me an email, direct message, DM on socials. Comment anywhere. Happy to talk, happy to chat, happy to discuss. And that's my take, guys. So let's continue on with walking the fairways now as we move through what's happening around golf courses in Australia. And I'm going to fire this one up and walk in the fairways. We're going to go straight to the Northern Territory. We're going to go straight to the Northern Territory, and I've got to thank Jimmy Downs. Jimmy Downs for this up there in Northern Territory at Humpty Doo Golf Club. He's been giving me some bits of information. He works on a 9-hole golf course up there, looking after it. And look, the 9th tee up there, they've built a new 9th tee, and they're doing a trial of Empire Zoysia on the 9th tee up at Northern Territory at Humpty Doo. And Jimmy Downs is all over that one. So he sent me a couple of photos, and I have posted in the past, but I wanted to mention it on the podcast. So thanks to Jimmy, and a shout out, mate, up there that you're listening. I appreciate the information, mate. It's fantastic. So, and he also gave me a bit of news at Palmerston Golf Club up in the Northern Territory as well. They've got a new mini golf course that's just opened up officially. So he mentioned to me to make sure that I did have a look at that one. So mini golf course, if you're up there and you're a regular at Palmerston, or if you're a golfer in the Northern Territory and you're thinking of taking the kids out for something else or having a bit of fun, that Palmerston's got it. And make sure you have a hit at Humpty Doo as well. Anyone travelling up that way, keep those 2 courses in mind. We don't hear a lot from the Northern Territory. I only have 11 golf courses in the whole state. I reckon I can count 11 golf courses within about 5 kilometres of where I live here in Sydney, if that gives you any idea. But a shout out to all the greenkeepers and the golfers and everyone in the golf industry up in the Northern Territory. Thank you for listening. We move on to Queensland, and we're going to go into Caloundra. Caloundra's been doing a bit of work over the last few months, and it's been a while since I've done a walk in the fairway. So the last few months, they've got a new bunker that's gone into the 9th. On the 9th hole, it's been reshaping one of the original bunkers that's around the green on the 9th. So greenside bunkers, they've done a bit of work on that one that looks nice and nicely shaped up and brand new sort of reimagined and redesigned for the bunker around the 9th green there, which is brilliant. And they've also been doing quite a bit of work on their 4th hole. And the 4th has a new 4th tee, is what's going on the 4th. And there's a lot of work being done at the very forward or the front sections of the 4th fairway. Once you cross, there's a bit of a water carry there on the 4th from the tee to the fairway, and just at that start of the fairway, they're doing a bit of work on the 4th fairway as well. So that's good to see what's going on at Caloundra. They've been doing a bit of work there, and they continue to improve. Now we go into Brisbane to Indooroopilly. Now Indooroopilly, as you may or may not know, is going through a massive rebuild and redesign. Behind Carrie Webb's doing a lot of work there with the design work, and they've been smashing out so much work. It's just mega. 36-hole facility. They're working through the whole lot of it over a couple of years, I think it is, and they've recently done a lot of work to their 3rd hole. The turf's going down on the fairways, 3rd tee. The 4th green has been sprigged more recently in the last few weeks now, so there's so much going on there. It's good to see Indooroopilly is moving forward in a great rate of knots there. Lots going on up at Indooroopilly, so good stuff to hear about them in Brisbane. And this is a brief version of Walking the Fairways, guys. So we're going to keep moving around into New South Wales. We're going to the Northern Beaches where I am at Long Reef. Now, Long Reef Golf Club is a beautiful headland on the Northern Beaches of Sydney, one of the most beautiful spots for a golf course, and they are going through a bunker rebuilding master plan, if you like, for their bunkers. Craig Parry Design And there's a lot going on here. So all the bunkers are being rebuilt and adjusted and selected as to whether they're going to be kept or whether they're going to be moved. And look, I had a member show me the plans, the document that was put forward for the bunker redesign work around the whole golf course. And I got to be honest, I've always struggled with long reef in my head. I really love it, but then I think it falls short of where it should be. And what I think is going on with long reef, I'm not a fan. I think it's going to go backwards, in my opinion, after they do this bunker work. All the bunkers seem to be taken away from around the front approaches as hazards into the green on the ones that have them. They're opening up all the front entrances to the greens that had bunkers near the front, and they're pushing them from the midpoint of the greens on the sides back to that midpoint and around the back is what I'm seeing, or being removed altogether. And I'm not a big fan. There's some wonderful golf holes at Long Reef, and the 12th springs to mind, a beautiful long uphill par 4, and it's surrounded by, I think, 8 bunkers. Lots of bunkers around the 8th green. It's a testing approach into that green. And certainly if you get the drive away. And look, basically all the bunkers are being removed around the front of the green on the approach. And that's just one example. And I've seen the plans, and I was talking to one of the members who showed me, and I just said, look, I'm not a fan. I mean, I just don't. I will reserve my opinion, I guess, until it's all finished. But on face value, how I look at it, I'm saying that when the ratings are done, after this work has been completed at Long Reef, it's going backwards. That's my opinion. I don't think this is for a benefit and an improvement of the golf course. I think this is to make golf easier for players, and it's to be less difficult, and I don't think it's going to increase and improve the strategy of the golf course and the challenge that's inherent with bunkers as hazards around the golf holes, and the way that some of them, sure, bunkers are being removed or adjusted, and I think that's fine, and everyone's going to have an opinion, of course, but there's so many, I'd say probably 50% plus I don't agree with in the slightest. And I'm not a fan. So, but there's a lot going on. It's going to take them, I think they're going to be doing it over at least 12 months. They're smashing through the work, by the way. So work's being done very, very quickly. And all the bunkers are getting rebuilt and adjusted shapes, and their look is a certain look. But we'll see how that one plays out. Into Sydney, to the south side of Sydney, into Marrickville Golf Club. And the 17th tee at Marrickville Golf Club has been rebuilt and has new turf. So the 17th down there, if you're a regular at Marrickville, I don't know the golf course, I've never played there. It is getting some new turf, and it's re-leveled up, and it should be a beautiful new tee when you get around to that part of the golf course on the penultimate hole. So good stuff to hear about Marrickville as well happening down there. Heading into the Southern Highlands, further south out of Sydney, on the Hume Highway, we're going to Mossvale Golf Club, and the front bunker on the 18th. So as you're approaching the green, the front bunker on 18th has been stripped out and rebuilt, basically. New sand, new drainage. Drainage is important, and it's certainly, when it comes to bunkers, is a big deal. So that's what's going on down there at Mossvale. They've done a fair bit of work there, and that front bunker on 18 has completely been redone. So that's a big improvement to the golf course if you're a regular down there at Mossvale, playing there on the weekends, no doubt. And we're going to go even further south throughout New South Wales, down to Harden. Now, I visited Harden and had a catch up down that way as we were actually travelling through on our way to Melbourne. But Harden's a wonderful country golf course, and there's a bit coming from Harden in the future, I might add. Very interesting to hear some bits and pieces about Harden. And look, they've been doing a bit of work there. There's a new bunker happening on the, what are my notes here telling me? On the 13th at Harden. And a new bunker being put in by the club there. It's a great addition to the hole. And look, I think these are the sorts of things that you're going to hear about, bits of improvements to country golf courses. That they're all good things that happen. And look, I'm a big fan when I hear stories like this around the place of country golf courses doing these sorts of minor improvements. It's really good to see and hear about, and certainly one for down there at Harden Golf Club in the southwest of New South Wales. Now we're jumping all the way over to WA, and there's been a bit happening at Cottesloe. They've got a fistful of new greens. I think it's about 6 new greens they've been building there over the last few months, and they've all been seeded with this brand new 777 bent grass. And look, they are now open for play. So very exciting times for the club. If you're over there and you're playing at that Cottesloe, you'll be experiencing those new greens and having a bit of a feel and evaluation for yourself. So very interesting to see how 777 performs. They've done their bit of evaluation to see which grass they wanted to go with, and that's the one that they've picked. And they look fantastic. If you've seen some images, go and have a look at their socials. These greens look really sharp. So some interesting stuff. Lots of work happening at Cottesloe over there in WA, which is very, very good to see. Now, there is a bit of news. I'm going to have some more about this one coming in some coming episodes. Wembley Golf Club in Perth there in WA as well. There's a bit of design news coming out of that part of the world, that golf club. One of the busiest and biggest golf clubs in Australia. They're pushing around something like, because it's a 36-hole facility, you're talking, well into the 100,000 golfers plus. It's incredible that the amount of people that they move through that facility. But there's some stuff coming out, so stay tuned with me on that one. So I'll have a bit more to talk about that one next time, and walking the fairways. That's a little bit in WA. Now we're going to go to South Australia, and the interesting new project, the Cliffs at Kangaroo Island, has kicked off. There's been a lot of fanfare locally with the beginnings of this project, and it's going to be one that we'll keep an eye on. It could be. Could it be the next Cape Wickham? Who knows? But a very unique site, a very unique part of the country, and it is yet again on another island. So looking forward to seeing and hearing more about the Cliffs at the Cliffs at Kangaroo Island there in South Australia. So that one will be one to follow, but they've officially turned soil and started work on that project. So not a lot heard about it, but interesting to see what we're going to hear from it. So stay tuned. And we go into Tasmania, into 7 Mile. Look, there's so many photos and videos and images coming out of Matt Goggins' project down there at 7 Mile Beach. There's so much seed that's germinating now. The golf course is starting to look like a golf course and not just a sandy wasteland. And it's exciting times ahead. Everyone's getting excited about 7 Mile. How can you not continue to do so? And if you're not sure about it, jump on the socials. And look, I'm sure everyone who listens to this podcast has heard about 7 Mile. It's a shining light that's coming, and very exciting times ahead. And we continue to watch it evolve down there at in Hobart, 7 Mile Beach. And we do one last one into Victoria. Now, I was lucky enough to get a chance there probably a month ago or a bit more, 6 weeks ago. I was in Melbourne, and I got a chance to go to Kingston Heath, which you might have seen on social media, and I got the opportunity to play a couple of holes in the brand new short course, the Furrows at Kingston Heath Golf Club there in Melbourne on the Sandbelt. Absolutely sensational. This little short course 9-hole golf course done by OCM is absolute fun factor deluxe. If you get an opportunity to play it, just play it. If you're a member there and you haven't had a chance, or you're thinking of, just go out there and just enjoy it. There is so much fun to be had on those 9 holes, and I played 4 of them, and I couldn't get enough of it. Had to take off. But I would absolutely love to go back and play the 9 holes over and over. The greens have just got the fun factor deluxe. There is so much movement on the lay of the land. It's done with a beautiful touch to the Kingston Heath big main course that's there as well. So you know where you are when you're playing the Furrows. You know that it's Kingston Heath. It has that feel about it. It's so beautifully done, so well presented, and so well constructed. It really is a very, very good job done by everyone involved. OCM, the team the maintenance team led by Hayden Mead that's looking after all of the golf courses. It is so fantastic and a great deal of fun. So the Furrows is a big tick from me, and I've been lucky enough to go down there and experience it for myself. So a great deal of fun. So there you go, guys. That's Walking the Fairways. And for this episode 81, there's a lot of news coming out and about, and certainly there's plenty more I'll be able to talk about with golf courses around Australia. But that's the golf side of it as well, with the PGA Tour and LIV and the DP World Tour. There's lots coming. No doubt you'll hear plenty about it as well. I just wanted to give you my take on it. I'm going to leave you with it as always. You hit them clean, we'll keep them green. And don't forget, next week, I have a new episode coming. It is another episode, another segment of Keeper of the Greens, and I might as well let the cat out of the bag now. I've already recorded it. This one's coming. It's with Superintendent Rowan Damon from the Grange Golf Club in Adelaide that was the host of LIV Golf Adelaide. So it's a really, really great chat that I have with Rowan. Great insight that he's able to give. There's lots of information there. I know you're going to enjoy it, and really excited to be able to bring that one to you next week. And it's also that segment is sponsored by the sponsor. Beautiful sponsors of the podcast. Happy to have them on board again is Colin Campbell Chemicals. So thanks to Nadine for being part of it. You'll hear the ad obviously next week with that episode coming out. And I thank Colin Campbell Chemicals for getting on board again. Don't forget to come and visit us down at the conference when we're there in a couple of weeks' time in Adelaide. If you're coming down for the ASTMA conference, the turf industry conference, make sure you come down and say hello at the Colin Campbell Chemicals stand to myself and Nadine. And we'll look forward to catching up with you guys down there. But make sure you hit subscribe so you get notification when that podcast episode comes out next week, because you will want to listen to it. I guarantee it. I'll leave you with it, guys. You hit them clean, we'll keep them green, and I will catch up with you next week.